I was suffering from severe gallstones to the point that it brought me into hospital a few times as an accident emergency. I managed to escape having my gallbladder removed by moving to a better environment, going on juice fasts, eating a mostly raw green diet, doing yoga specifically for the gallbladder and core areas, and also taking a product called rowachol. Now, not everybody's gallstone story or problems is the same, so we can't all copy the same method to dissolve them. Most people only have gallstones for a few hours, and that's not considered to be severe gallstones. So this remedy is, while it would help people with small amount of gallstones, is specific for people who have severe gallstones to the point it might actually kill you, which is quite rare, which is 1 in 100 people get gallstones. So I'll describe my story and see if it suits anyone in a similar situation. I was largely living outdoors and eating raw vegan food. I moved back into the city. I quit smoking, and since I quit smoking, I developed a craving for more fatty food, sweets, and tortillas. So I started getting these sharp pains. I guess it's on your own right hand side of the top right hand side of your stomach. I guess the best way to describe it. I started getting these sharp pains. In the beginning, they only lasted for an hour or two, and then they started increasing. Or I got looked this up. That maybe it's not gallstones, maybe it's gallbladder inflammation. So I started drinking more apple juice, apple cider vinegar, and lemon juice. When I compiled that together, that was kind of like my winning potion. Now I drink that, I assumed that the stones would dissolve and the pain would go away. And throughout the day, I'd largely drink lemon water, things like that. Every so often, I took a shot. I'd going on a diet, and when I dieted, things got better. However, since I was living in a city, when you're out and about applying for jobs, going to business conferences, for a profession, I had to go to a lot of conferences, and you're largely eating fatty food and sugary food, because I'd go into, I'm not going to name them obviously, but I'd go into the top IT companies, not just in Ireland, but the top IT world, and you get just tons and tons of pizzas and fatty foods, chocolates. And so I was exercising and drinking these drinks to dissolve my gallstones, the situation kept getting worse because the environment I was in and the diet I was having was terrible. So I just kept looking at people people saying how to dissolve gallstones. We were saying apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and apple juice. And I was just, and even when you're eating vegetarian food when you live in a city, the food is processed. It's not real food. If you're looking at vegetables and look shiny, chances are it's plastic food. The faster it degrades, the better the food is, and vegetables come from the ground. So you buy vegetables, you should see dirt on them. So I was going ups and downs for months, and I was actually at a computer science related conference that I was at, because I'd go to once a week, twice a week. There was that one in particular that the pain just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I ended up staying up, and it started in the evening, and I ended up staying up until 4 a.m. with this severe pain, and it felt like, if you can imagine the movie Alien, with aliens bursting out of the person's chest, that's what the pain was like. And I had to go to accident emergency, and I was like, I haven't been to a hospital doctor in a long time. Well, in the country I was living in, I'd been there a long time. And so Luckily, at that time, there wasn't a lot of people in the hospital, and I was able to get to see, at that time, the first time, I was able to see a doctor quickly, and they gave me an injection. They said, just wait for them to dissolve. There's nothing really can do. You just take pain medicine. I was like, yeah, and that was like the worst pain that I felt in a long time. So then, I'd drink these drinks and I'd give dieting a shot. The less fatty food I ate, the better I felt. But frequently in a situation where I don't get to decide what I'm going to eat, you have to go to a cafe and a restaurant. So I'd be gone for an entire day, and it's just not really practical to just eat salads, because you have to have some kind of protein, and even when you're going to a vegetarian place, the vegetarian options are still fatty and sugary. Just happened to the environment I was in. So the pain kept getting. So I'd spend a few weeks of dieting. I would work. Then all of a sudden the pain would come back, and there was one particular point that was this had been absolutely. I had gallstone pain solidly for 2 weeks, like pain every second day going to sleep. And I just kept taking more and more painkillers, more and more painkillers, more and more painkillers. But I eventually became immune to painkillers, and I was going to the doctors, going to the hospital, and they gave me more painkillers, and I just kept getting immune to them. And one particular day that was absolutely the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. I just had to go into hospital, and I went into the hospital, and the hospital was full of people. Some people with severe illnesses and severe injuries, and some people are just being drunk idiots, and they shouldn't be in a hospital. And I'd be trying to talk to a nurse, and she's writing my name down, and I'm crying, and she's telling me to shut up. There's no crying allowed in a hospital, and if you cry, you get kicked out and blacklisted from the hospital. I'm going to name a shame at Bowman Hospital in Dublin, and just the place was just chocolate box with people, and in this particular time, no one was there to give me painkillers, and so I had to go outside, and I was crying with pain. It was my insides were just torn to shreds. And they gave me weak painkillers, and I was like, I've been taking stronger painkillers than these, and you're giving me paracetamol. Like, it was just awful. Half the staff there I met were doing their job. Half the staff there I met just humanity seemed to have been torn out of them. It was just the only hospitals I know are in Ireland, Andorra, and Turkey, and the Turkish hospitals are scary because people speak English, but still much better run, staffed than the hospitals I've seen in Ireland. And so all this time I spent the summer of going in at vaccine emergency, and so the 2 weeks coming up in this particular time I was mentioning, I was 2 weeks constantly in pain, followed by another 2 weeks of where I was eating very little, and for about 4 days I wasn't eating any food, and I couldn't drink any water. So I had to take these painkillers, but then I just vomit them up again. And so, because I had no food in my stomach, you're looking at these painkillers, and they say, you need to eat food. Yep, I can't eat food. So when I even drink water, I get sick. And some of them say may cause liver damage. And all this time I was going through this, I still haven't actually been officially diagnosed with gallstones, because I spent months on the waiting list to get an ultrasound. It took me 3 months. It took me 4 months to see a specialist. And when I saw a specialist, what happened? He was looking at me and he said, I don't know why you're here. I'm not a surgeon and I can't do anything about your gallbladder. I'm like, looking at him, well, I don't know who you are, and I don't know what any of these words mean. I went to my doctor and he sent me to this hospital and they put me on a waiting list. I'm on the assumption that Bowman Hospital knows what doing? And so I spent months in pain, and to a doctor that couldn't help me. So eventually, at some point, the gallstones got so bad that I was leaking acid into my bloodstream, into my eyes, and into my pee, into my boom, and I could feel the acid burning in a way at every single bit of my body, and it was so difficult to sleep. I was just on fire, and and most people I met in Ireland have no sympathy for a sick person. It's just the healthcare in Ireland is terrible, and it's largely, I'm going to have to say, it's a byproduct of culture. Ordinary Irish person who doesn't care about their own health. Most people are overweight, depressed, spend more money on alcohol than they do on their healthcare. It's just something like average person spends $2.5 grand a year on alcohol. The government spends over $5 grand in healthcare. Private healthcare only costs a few €100. It's just most people I do not get sympathy from. And I was stuck, and I couldn't, and I just kept coming across alternative health people who also didn't have a clue. And they would tell you that they're a healer, and they didn't have a clue to help you with your pain. And so it wasn't just the hospitals that I found were a complete scam. Why are we paying taxes $5 grand plus a year for healthcare? It's crap. And these alternative health people taking hundreds of euro off you at a time, and also full of crap, not trained what they're doing, and giving me advice actually made things worse. And I just spent so much time researching on the diet, so much, and realizing that there was a difference on the food you eat for a low level amount of gallstones and high level different, because the gallstones I had was leaking acid in my system. It was causing damage to my liver. It was an infection to my liver and my other organs, and so I couldn't get it removed because I had to wait for the infection to go down. So the Western medicine wasn't making me better, and you've a lot of these natural hippie types telling me not to take the antibiotics, but taking the antibiotics did actually make me feel better. I mean, it helped with the infection and helped with the gallstones. The doctor that I kept seeing over and over again kept telling me if that was my gallbladder, just cut it out, but they can't cut it out yet. So here I am, being put on another waiting list for another few months, until say 6 months of time to see a doctor about what I assume was going to say remove my gallbladder. And it's like, alright, if this is months away, I can't just keep, I can't just keep taking painkillers all the time. Because the people that were advising my diet didn't really know what they're doing, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I moved to a Mediterranean island. That was the start of the Irish winter. I was still summer there. So I moved to a Mediterranean island where there wasn't a lot of fast food places. And there are, but not as much as there are in Ireland. Most of the vegetables you buy are local, and you can see it's local because they have dirt on them. And I started drinking fresh green juice every morning. And so the first 2 weeks of this, I could feel my body going through a cleanse, a detox, because it wasn't consuming sugars, caffeine, and fatty foods as it was when I was living in Ireland. So I got to start going through this detox as it was. And the most important thing that I did was I then did a 10-day juicing fast. So it's 10 days of drinking 3 green juices a day and drinking a bit of tea for 10 days, and then followed by 2 days of raw food. And after I did that, I felt fantastic. At the same time, I was seeing doctors here in Gozo. There's an island called Gozo. then put the healthcare into perspective. I would go into the first time I went to the doctor, I was out in an hour and I had the test done. That took me 3 hours, or not 3 hours, 3 months to get done in Ireland. So that's the speed difference, 1 hour versus 3 months. And I got to see, within 2 weeks, it took me 2 weeks to see trained specialists. And of course they confirmed that I had gallstones. And so they confirmed that I had gallstones. This was just before I started the juice fast. So then I did the juice fast for 10 days, followed by eating 2 days of raw food. And then, I would eat 2 meals. So a juice, my typical diet has been a juice in the morning, another green meal, and then cooked food. So at some point, so after being 2 months in Gozo and having a highly green diet and having a green juice every morning, and every so often I would slip up and eat a pizza or something fancy, but that was like once every 2 weeks. And I was also for 1 month, I was taking a product called rowachol. So I took, say, 2.5 packets of rowachol. They come packets of 50 capsules, so I guess I took 125 capsules in total. And then after months of doing that, I popped at the end, and the doctor said that my gallstones had dissolved and none of my organs were affected. So I went from not being able to sleep and eat, then having no energy and struggling to survive, and being told that as soon as the infection's gone, we're cutting out the gallbladder, to in a situation where my health was now better than the average human being, because we know that the average human being has gallstones, and since I don't have gallstones, therefore my gallstone situation is better than the average human being. And so I ended up going back to Ireland for a week, where my diet went downhill again because it's Christmas. So then I came back again and went through another detox. And just recently I did 7 days of just pure raw diet, of just mostly raw green vegetables, 3 days of juicing, and today is a raw food day, and we ended it with foraging for weeds, edible weeds, and we ended up having a raw pizza. Basically, I'm feeling much healthier than I have been in the past 2 years. I'm feeling much better. I have much more energy. At the moment, I'm getting up at 5:30 every morning and watching 3 hours of Mushi Satangs every morning, doing either yoga, but also doing cardio, core work, muscle build up, having green juices, at least 2 green meals. And I guess after doing a lot of raw food, I'm going to be mostly eating raw food, because it's definitely cutting out the rice, the bread, and the white potatoes is definitely giving me a lot more energy. And I'm definitely going to say that the product rowachol, I must have helped. Because, I mean, it must have helped. So, so I totally recommend anyone with any kind of eating or digestion problem, try a 10-day juicing, 10 days of green juice, because what it does is, I mean, it not only does it flush your system out of sugar, but you'll have far less cravings for junk food than you did, because you get so used to just drinking juice that when you start eating raw food, the raw food is incredibly filling, and within 10 days, I went down, I think, nearly 3 belt sizes. And so the second time I did a juice diet was so much easier than the first time, because we were putting in a protein supplement in with our juices, and for me, hemp was the king. And so we're having about 3 juices a day, and also casually drinking vegan milks, what we call super milks. My partner prefers chai, and I'm a hemp milk drinker myself, so easiest thing in the world. It's cheaper than buying cow's milk, and it's a fraction of the price of buying hemp milk in the shop. Get some hemp seeds, you soak them overnight, mix the water, mix it with another item called lecithin, which makes it frothy and milky. And for the crack, throw in some cacao, throw in maca, ashwagandha, just make it more like a coffee. And replace my coffee as my everyday morning drink to wake up. So basically, green juice and hemp is my reboot diet. Is my reboot diet. Green juice, hemp, and a green diet. Yeah. So if anyone has severe gallstones, have a green juice every morning. Try to have up to a third of your diet to be raw green vegetables. The best being kale, cucumber, and celery. Onions and red peppers are also good, and that'd be kind of my favorite mix of vegetables. Every body type is different, and every stage of gallstones is different. So gingers and spices and turmeric might be bad for severe, but would be good for someone with a low level of gallstones. There's yoga you can do specifically for the core, triangle poses, pyramid poses, fire breath, downward dog. And rowachol. Generally speaking, you need a prescription, but you can also order online. So there you go. That's how you dissolve gallstones.